All right, well, welcome to the dynamic interview series. I am interviewing Joanie Shawhan today, and part of the dynamic interview series is where I meet up and interview local businesses and local entrepreneurs. And today I am talking with Joanie, who is an author. So before we get started here, I guess part of us getting started is Joanie. How about you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here and talk with you today. This is very exciting. Um, my background is I'm a nurse. I am now currently retired, but in 2006, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And as a result of that, I decided I wanted to write a book for women undergoing chemotherapy because there were no resources at that time. So, because there was no resources, I'm like, okay, what can I offer women? So, I decided that I would write my story. And then, when I completed my story, I interviewed 11 other women for their cancer stories. And so I put them in the book here, Inner Shoes Dancing in the Shadow of Cancer. I had never intended on being an author. That was the last thing I would ever thought I would do. And and I have some practical helps in there. So that's what started this whole journey of writing. Um, and so since then, I have been doing more writing. I am in an ovarian cancer group called the Fried Egg Sunny Side Up. I'm one of the founding members, and we meet monthly for lunch. We sometimes have programs and just get together and share. Um, We also, some of us are involved in a program called Survivors Teaching Students, and we speak to third year medical students about our ovarian cancer stories so that in hopes that if they see some of our symptoms, that they will recognize the vague symptoms of ovarian cancer, which can mimic so many other GI symptoms, that they would maybe say, maybe this could be ovarian cancer. So that is really fun to talk to the students and give them some faces of ovarian cancer. And it's something that they really enjoy.
Great, thanks for sharing that. Would you mind? I know I read part of your book, but could you share a little bit of your story going with cancer?
Sure. Um, Literally, I rolled over in bed and felt a mass in my abdomen. And I immediately blew it aside, um, thinking, oh, this is, nothing too big, maybe fibroids, I don't know. It was, about the size of a grapefruit. But then I ended up in physical therapy because of a back injury. So I'm laying on the therapy table. The therapist is pressing down my spine, and he gets down to my lower spine, and I literally almost jumped off the table because of pain. But the pain was in my abdomen.
Mhm.
So that started my whole process of ovarian cancer and going to the doctor, being tested, and getting in for surgery. And at the time when I first saw the doctor, she didn't think it was cancer, but we had to do an ultrasound, and then she determined it probably was. But at the time of surgery, I had a volleyball-sized mass that was removed. Thankfully, it was encapsulated, so it was stage 1. And then I went through 6 rounds of chemotherapy after that. So I lost all my hair and felt horrible from all the chemo. And so that was kind of my cancer journey. And I learned a lot in the process. Uh, I didn't really care for being on the other side of the bed.
Yeah,
I was used to being the nurse, not the patient.
great.
So it was a whole different experience.
So your book goes through your experience with cancer, and can you like do a brief summary of some of the other stories that are
Hmm.
shared, and maybe
Sure.
some of the other conditions? Or
Sure.
okay.
One of the women in the book was 13 when she had ovarian cancer, so she was my youngest survivor.
Mm.
And this was quite a few years ago. She's doing great now, has 2 kids, and has had no recurrence. So I have a couple other ovarian cancer stories, and the women did well. I have stories of women with breast cancer. Several of them had mastectomies. Um, most of them have gone through chemotherapy. Um, another woman, um, let's see, I had talked to a woman who had leukemia, and so her story was a little different. A couple of women with lymphoma, and then I had another woman that I interviewed that had a brain tumor, and that one was interesting because she was in England at the time. And so basically my interview with her was a series of emails that she had sent her friends about her cancer journey. So she pulled like 70 some pages of emails together and sent them to me. And so I was able to write her story from the emails. So it was really interesting hearing other people's stories. Some things were similar, some of them were really different. Some of the side effects were different, so it gave a whole different flavor to what I experienced. So it was good.
And I think you had mentioned in the past to me before, but part of the reason for writing this book is that there was very limited resources. Could you touch on that a little bit?
At the time I was diagnosed, my only resource was the American Cancer Society.
Okay.
There was no Gilda's Club. The American Cancer Society did offer wigs, so I was able to get a wig from them. And then I found out through my friend who was the 13-year-old at the time, she told me about the Look Good, Feel Better program, where you go in and if you don't have a wig, they'll provide one. But then there's all this free makeup they give you and show you how to, I mean, you lose your eyebrows, you lose your eyelashes, and they show you how to create eyebrows, how to create eyelashes. And it's makeup from all of these different big name people. There'd be, I think there was maybe Eva Arden and Estee Lauder and all these different that had donated these products.
Mm.
And so that was all I had out there as a resource, and basically the information I got from the doctor. So I had nobody else that I could really talk to about the experience of going through chemotherapy. And that's why I wanted to create this resource. There was a lot of things out there for women with breast cancer, but with ovarian cancer, so many women did not survive at that time that there was very few options.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully now there's some better drugs, so the survival for our ovarian cancer women is really been incredible with the advent of new drugs.
Awesome. Have there been any stories or people that you've been able to have a conversation with after releasing this book that you have found that has been beneficial for them, or anything that's been shared with you with regards to that?
Yes, I've had people share the book. One of my fellow fried eggs was telling me how she had shared it, I think, with her sister or sister-in-law, and they just were they really appreciate it. I have a scripture for each chapter. I write the chapters in vignettes, so it's like each chapter is a standalone story.
Mm-hmm.
So no, if you don't want to read the whole book, you don't have to. If you're like, I just need to know about getting my head shaved, what's that like? I just need that right now. Because when you're going through chemo, your mind, you just can't focus. So it's like, I just need this one thing. I need to know what it's like to get my head shaved. So you can go through the book, you can pick out the chapters on on people's experience of getting their head shaved. And so they're standalone chapters for various things. If you just want to look at a book about a certain type of cancer and their experience, you can do that. So each chapter is set up that way, just in its own little story with a scripture and a prayer at the end. And I've had people tell me they've really appreciated the prayers at the end, and they really have appreciated the stories that are in the book, and that it meant a lot to them.
Awesome. Usually this sounds like it's something that goes towards the end of the interview, but it feels appropriate now. Is there anything that you have to share to somebody who might be watching this who has ovarian cancer or knows somebody with ovarian cancer?
Boy, that's there's so many changes, and there's so much more hope with drugs and with the new chemos, the new drugs that are out there for people. Um, and just to, you just got to take it one day at a time. And if you can't manage everything one day, you can't, and it's okay. And you're just going to have to, it's just a one day at a time. There were days I thought I could sit home and I lay on the couch and watch TV and binge TV while I was on chemo. I couldn't even focus to watch a program. I'm like, oh, I got all these movies I can watch. Yeah, that wasn't there. And so just to really have the patience with yourself while you're going through the process, and to educate yourself on what you can do to help with the side effects. And that's some of the things I have in the book. And not to give up hope, because you just never know when there's going to be something that'll turn the corner for you. And there is no, sometimes there's no rhyme and reason why somebody does great and somebody doesn't. Not to condemn yourself if you're not doing great and don't have as many years out as like I do. It's not your fault, and not to condemn yourself over those things. You just try to live your best life, live every day the best you can. And one of my friends, the doctors told her, you'll probably have recurrence. And she's like, I am going to do everything I want to do. I'm going to live my life. And that would be what I would say is, while you're going through chemo, be patient with yourself. And once you're through it and you start, moving past, just live every day and enjoy it and do the things you want to do.
Yeah, awesome. So transitioning a little bit, tell me about the transition from not only nurse, but like cancer survivor to author.
That's been an incredible journey, because I was so blessed on this journey to get connections with people who are in the publishing and writing industry. So when I was going to start writing this book, I got connected going to conferences and connected with other people that were in the industry. And I met a woman who is actually my writing coach. Her name's Kathy Carlton Willis. She started a group called Word Girls, and we are a Facebook group that where we are members. We're a small group of 25, 30 women, and she gives us tutorials every month. She has literally coached me through the publishing of my book, and even in the process that I'm going through now to still get work done. And so I've had those wonderful connections in the publishing world and gone to conferences and met people, and everything's about connections.
Yeah. So could you share one of your major struggles in this transition to become an author, or it could be becoming an author or writing this book in specific?
I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Right.
So when I was working on this book, interviewing people was fun, but then trying to write the book and have their voice and make it sound like them, because it's not supposed to sound like me.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to sound like them. And then, but the publishing part was really hard for me. And all of the things I had to go through to write a book proposal, and it's like 30 pages long, and you have to have all these steps in it. And then you get to the marketing part. And then I'm just like, this is out of my league. And that's where my writing coach was really helpful for me. And that's still my challenge, is the marketing part. So, yeah.
I guess got into a couple of those. Do you see like a common misconception for being an author at all?
I think a common misconception at this point in time is that, well, so many traditional publishing houses have closed, which
Hmm.
have put people in a situation. If you want to publish, you have to do some form of self-publishing or indie publishing. And I think the self-publishing has sometimes gotten a really bad rap because some of it has been amateurish, but that's not always the case. Some of it has been done very professionally, even if it's not been accepted by a publishing house. And sometimes it's not a matter that it's low quality work that the publishing house won't accept it. It's maybe they've already got a book that they're doing like that. It might not just be a niche they do.
Hmm.
And so that has closed more and more. Um, so I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions is that things that have been published independently are of less quality, and that's not necessarily true.
Okay. Do you have a favorite moment or favorite part about being an author? What's your favorite part about being an author?
I think my favorite part is when I write something and I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's good. That's not me. That has to be God. So when I finish something and it's like, wow, and it gets my wow. And it's the best I could do for that time.
Hmm.
Like maybe 10 years from now, I'm sure I could write it better. But it's like, yes, this is the finished product for right now. And that's always really exciting to me. And it's always exciting to have the book in your hand, when you get your first book in your hand and it's like, wow, your name's on the cover.
Yeah. So you wrote this book. Tell me
Yes.
about some of this other stuff that you've been a piece of.
Also, I contribute to anthologies. Um, Sometimes there's a call out um, from people to submit to their books. So this one is called Renewed Christmas Blessings. This is by Michelle Rayburn. And this is a book that has poetry and fiction and different anecdotes about Christmas. And I wrote about some snapshots of Christmas past. And so I just had snapshots of different times at Christmas that I contributed to this book. And that was really fun writing that piece because it reminded me of my childhood and some of the things like the Sears Roebuck catalog and looking at old snapshots of Christmas. And so that got accepted for this book. And there is an acceptance process for all of these anthologies. So I'm always honored to be accepted. This book is called Gather the Goodness, and this is published by my writing coach, Kathy Carlton Willis, and this is open to our group members. And she puts together an anthology for us on various topics. This particular one is based on the fruits of the Spirit: kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness. And so this book includes poetry, devotions, essays, Bible studies. And so I contributed 2 poems to this, which I have never written poetry before. So that was a whole new genre for me. But both pieces came in the form of a poem. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try and write them. So she has put out, I think this is number 4 or 5 of books that I have done with her. So I've contributed to about 9 anthologies at this point.
Awesome. So what are you working on now, or what's next for you for writing?
Right now, I have completed a memoir. This is a book about my spiritual mother, who was an amazing woman of God. Um, and she had cerebral palsy. And so, so people would think, well, God can't use somebody like this,
Hmm.
but he did in such amazing ways. And so, um, at this point, well, I don't know if I want to give my working title yet because I don't know if that'll be the title, but she also started an intercessors group, and she had a lot of words from the Lord for us in our intercessors group. And so I wrote those words down, and so I'm putting together with those words 2 90-day devotionals. with those words. So I'm editing them. I'm adding scriptures and prayers to them for 2 90-day devotionals and working on getting those published.
What is the most fulfilling part of being an author and some of the work that you're doing?
I think the most fulfilling part is when somebody comes back to you and says, that really meant a lot to me. I really liked what you wrote. That's some of the most fulfilling part. The comments that you get, it's like, wow, that just really hit me, or that prayer was what I needed, or that piece was what I needed to hear.
Is there anything that you want to share with someone who may be watching this that maybe um, isn't a person of faith that you might want to incorporate, let them know that how your books can be an impact to them?
Certainly. With my cancer book, there's helps in there for how to deal with cancer, how to deal with the different side effects of cancer, and just to know that there's somebody else that's walked the journey with you. Whether you are somebody of faith or not of faith, not everyone in my book were strong people of faith, but they walked the cancer journey. And so to know that there is somebody else out there who's gone through what you may be going through.
Great. So when I worked with you, it was on a website to come up with a website, and that was something that you said your writing coach had recommended.
Yes.
Could you kind of elaborate on some of the things that we worked through, some things that were important for you and from your coach's perspective to put on the website, and how the website has been able to impact being able to share like your book and some of the stuff that you're doing?
Actually, you did a great job on my website.
Thank you.
When my writing coach saw it, she said, well, I'm really particular about websites. And she said, and I love your website. So that meant a lot when she said that. When we worked together, we worked on colors. One of my main colors was kind of a turquoise blue because that's the ovarian cancer color. So, you had a great eye for what would go with that color, how to coordinate color and things like that in it to make it really pop. And so that was fun to do. It was important that I have a media page because by this time I had radio interviews and television interviews. So we had a media page, and you did a great job setting up my media page. It's important to have a book page. So we've got my books all listed on a book page and a little blurb about them with their links to Amazon. So that was like really important to have. And you did a great job with that. And my blog page to set that up so that people can find things in my blog. And so we have that page. And then we have the About Me page. That's just kind of more of a fun page. And you helped me choose photos that you wanted, different photos of me on the page, and you helped me choose photos that you really liked and different aspects of my life. And we did that just so that people would be introduced to who I am. We put up a speaker page because I am available to speak on not just ovarian cancer, but other topics as well. So you did a great job setting up the pages. It's easy to navigate. It's pleasant to look at. You did just a wonderful job with it. So
I think it was fun putting together the About page with all the different things that like you wanted to just share who you are as a person. So I think that page really speaks to who you are, and someone can really get to know about you and like in depth by checking out your About page. You had mentioned something I don't think we brought up before. You are an author, but you mentioned a speaking page. Can you elaborate on some of the things that you do that outside of writing?
I Well, right before COVID, I was able to speak at a conference up in the Dells, and that was just such a privilege. It was called the One Heart Conference, I believe, and just to be able to speak some of the things that God has shown me over my life, and I have some various topics on the page. I'm open to other things, but um, some of the topics are like Joy, or speak on Thanksgiving, or being able outside of ovarian cancer to be able to speak on some of the truths that God has shared with me, and to speak to women, and I've done some speaking in terms of and some teaching at my church and stuff. A lot of stuff kind of hasn't come back from COVID even here, but
Mm-hmm.
so some of that, yeah.
So your speaking, is it intended for a large audience or a smaller audience?
Either one.
Either one, okay.
Yeah, either one.
I think you might probably be more comfortable speaking to a large audience than me. I'm more comfortable with this, the one-on-one, the one to small group of people, but
Yeah, I have fun.
it takes a certain skill.
I have fun either way. When I get done speaking, I am like jazz, so I really enjoy it. And I don't remember how many were at the conference, maybe a couple hundred. But when I speak to the survivors teaching students, we have maybe 10 or 15. So
Okay.
it doesn't matter. It's always fun.
Is there anything else that I may not have asked that you would like to share?
Boy. I'm not sure I can think of anything at this time.
Okay, we can get to some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So here's the rapid fire round. You mentioned before that you didn't have a dad joke, so we'll skip that one.
Yeah.
College, where did you go to school?
I went to Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois. And I get together every year with my college roommates, and we take a trip and spend time together, and that's been really fun. And we've been friends for a lot of years.
And that was for nursing because you were in nursing before being an author, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And
okay.
3 of us are nurses.
Okay.
Of the 4.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite sports team?
I'm not particularly a sports person. If I'm going to pick a team, I'm in Wisconsin. It's got to be the Packers.
Good answer. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Tea, okay. Hot or cold? Like what kind of
Both.
tea? Okay.
Both. And I prefer black tea, either flavor like Earl Grey or a fruit flavored black tea.
Okay. Do you have a favorite local restaurant?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Let's see. I like Johnny's Italian Steakhouse.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we'll just put that one on.
This next one, I think I already have an answer in my mind, but book or a movie?
Boy, it really depends.
This intrigues me. I was like, an author? Oh, they got to say book, but really, really thinking about this one.
Yeah. If it's a book that's going to be a movie, I generally feel like the book is probably better.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a TV series that you're watching right now?
I am a crime series buff. And so I am currently doing some reruns of JAG,
Okay.
which I have done numerous times. So I like those kinds of series.
Okay. What is your favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
Pepperoni. That's a good one. So, did you think of anything else that you wanted to add? Or not?
No, just
No?
that you did a great job and it was fun working with you.
Well,
And
thank you. If someone were to get in contact with you, is there? What do you want to share? Do you want to share some sort of contact information? Do you have socials?
yes, I am on Facebook. I am also on my website, Joanie Shawhan, www.joanieshawhan.com. And I think I have a contact through that, right? You set that up for me.
I think so. Yeah.
So, yeah. So that would be the best way to contact me.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I enjoyed this interview, and
I did too. Thank you.
awesome. Well, yeah,